This is the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast.
You guessed it! It's time for another installment of the Celebrity Afterlife Report, the only show on the internet that gives you the up-to-the-minute gossip about all your favorite deceased celebrities. I am your host, the Celebrity Medium. Let's get this show on the road. In his time on the earthly plane, George Steinbrenner was known as the sometimes difficult and always eccentric owner of the New York Yankees. During his reign as the boss, he hired and fired manager Billy Martin on 5 separate occasions. Apparently in the next world, Billy and George have buried the hatchet. My sources tell me that Steinbrenner has once again hired the feisty Martin as manager of his new Yankees team. When he operated out of the Bronx, Steinbrenner was never afraid to open his checkbook to get who he wanted. In the afterlife, though, it's persuasion, not money, that gets a team over to the people he's after. And George seems to be as persuasive as ever. Now comes word that not only has he convinced his frenemy Billy to be the field general for the new Yankees, but he has also signed up one of the greatest players ever to don the pinstripes, Joe DiMaggio. As I told you 2 weeks ago, Joe D recently reunited with his former earthly plane wife, Marilyn Monroe, after appearing on her reality game show, A Night with Marilyn. The two have been seen together at several high-profile events since the meeting, which came after her very public breakup with pop artist Andy Warhol, to whom she had been engaged, strange as it seems. Rumor has it that Steinbrenner happened to run into Marilyn recently in a department store where they were both shopping. The story goes that he asked her how Joe was doing. One thing led to another, and before long, George and Joe were talking about doing business together. DiMaggio, of course, was long retired by the time Steinbrenner bought the Yankees in the early 1970s. Friends of the boss have said that George told them that if there was one player from the team's past he wished he could have had, it would be DiMaggio. That never happened on the earthly plane, but if the rumors are correct, Steinbrenner's dream is about to come true. Several weeks ago, we began following the strange saga of Jerry Falwell in the next world. Falwell, as you probably know, was a controversial televangelist during his time on the earthly plane. It seems that it's hard for Jerry to completely give up his former occupation. He announced plans to construct a giant sign similar to the famous Hollywood sign in Los Angeles on a hill overlooking a large city in the next world that would read Holy Land. Many afterlife residents objected to his plan, saying it would spoil the view they have of the hill. Also, as many people there pointed out, there is no formal religious structure in the next world, and everyone there is well aware that they've reached their final destination, so they don't really need a 50-foot high reminder of that fact. According to my sources, Falwell was somewhat petulant about this roadblock to his plan, and went on every talk show that would have him to plead his case. In the afterlife, things are done, or not done, mostly by consensus, and popular sentiment seems to be against constructing the sign. So for now, the project is on hold, but Falwell is promising he will get the sign built, one way or another, no matter what his opponents want. Some months ago, I told you that Steve Jobs, co-founder and chairman of Apple, was working on a project called iVironment in the next world. My sources tell me that Jobs has finally completed it and that it is now up and running. Now, the weather in the afterlife is always mild and sunny, But Jobs, considered by many to be a tech visionary, felt that some people would like the occasional change of pace weather-wise. iVironment is designed to give them just that. It's installed in a building the size and shape of a blimp hangar, large enough to have its own mini-climate. On a regular schedule posted at the entrance, the iVironment features rainstorms of varying degree, ranging from a slight drizzle to a full downpour. I'm informed that the iVironment is very popular, particularly with people from the Pacific Northwest who are homesick for the rainy climate they knew on the earthly plane. So it seems that Steve Jobs has another hit on his hands. Back in the 1970s, there was a television show called The Gong Show, a parody of a traditional talent competition. The Gong Show was unlike anything else on television then or now. One of the regular performers on the show was a middle-aged black stagehand named Eugene Patton. Introduced by Chuck Barris, the producer and host of the show, as Gene the Dancing Machine, the curtain would lift, revealing Patton, who would perform an uninhibited dance for a minute or so. His joy at dancing was so palpable, it would infect the audience and the guest stars who would all dance along with him. There are a number of videos of Gene on YouTube which are worth watching for the sheer joy he displays. Eugene Patton transitioned to the next world a few days ago, and if he thought his 15 minutes of fame were over, according to my Afterlife sources, he was very much mistaken. A large crowd of Afterlife citizens who remember him from his Gong Show days was on hand to welcome him to his new existence, along with a hastily assembled band which played the Count Basie tune Jumpin' at the Woodside, the song to which Gene the Dancing Machine always performed on the Gong Show. I'm told that the hundreds of people in attendance all danced with abandon alongside Patton to the music. Okay, boys and girls, that's it for this edition of the Celebrity Afterlife Report. Please come back next week for more gossip about all your favorite deceased celebrities. And please tell your friends that the report is now available on iTunes. I am the Celebrity Medium. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast. To ask a question about your favorite deceased celebrity, call 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-369-3732.